This morning, independent safety advocates are sounding the alarm about Chrysler's recall of certain Jeep vehicles. Regulators have called the location of the gas tank on the vehicles a safety risk because of how it hangs below the rear bumper. If another vehicle crashes into the back, the fuel tank can rupture, resulting in a deadly fire. Jeff Pegues joins us with information you'll see only on CBS this morning. He's in Washington. Jeff, good morning.
Good morning. Government figures put the death toll from deadly fires in these Jeeps upwards of 50 people, although safety advocates say that figure is much higher. The fatality numbers rival GM's faulty ignition switch recall. About a year and a half ago, Chrysler recalled 1.5 million vehicles, but there are still concerns the solution may not go far enough and complaints the company isn't moving fast enough to make the vehicles safer. 23-year-old Kayla White was 8 months pregnant with her first child, a boy she'd already named Braden, when her 2003 Jeep Liberty was struck from behind on a Michigan highway.
My phone rang one time, my house phone, and it was all zeros across it. Yeah. And I knew she was gone.
This was Kayla's Jeep before the crash. And this is what it looked like afterward. The plastic gas tank melted away. Witnesses said there was an explosion when the SUV was rear-ended. Kayla died in the fire.
And we don't want it to happen to anybody else. These vehicles need to get off the road. And you see them every day, and they're oblivious to it. They think, oh, we're driving a safe vehicle, and you're not.
Test after test has shown the potential danger of the rear-mounted fuel tanks in model year 1993 to 2004 Jeep Grand Cherokees and 2002 to 2007 Liberties. In 2010, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration started investigating. For 3 years, Chrysler argued the vehicles were not defective and that the investigation should be closed. Then, in June 2013, NHTSA sent this letter asking Chrysler to recall those vehicles, tentatively saying there was a defect that presented an unreasonable risk of burning to death in rear impact crashes. But it wasn't until after a private meeting between then Transportation Secretary Ray LaHood, NHTSA Administrator David Strickland, and Chrysler's CEO Sergio Marchionne that the company agreed to take action. CBS News has obtained emails between Strickland and a Chrysler executive. Strickland wrote, "The meeting would only be with the secretary and I, no other staff, as Sergio wanted." And in a recent deposition exclusively obtained by CBS News, Marchionne said, "We ultimately resolved the issue after that meeting." Joan Claybrook is a former NHTSA administrator.
This was a deal that was cut between the NHTSA administrator and the Secretary of Transportation and Chrysler. Hold on.
What do you mean a deal? I mean, that implies something.
It was a deal. The deal was that Chrysler had refused to ever do a recall of these vehicles. They knew that they had a problem. And so they wanted to do the cheapest thing that they could do.
She says that meant putting a tow hitch on the 1.5 million affected vehicles as part of a voluntary safety recall. But safety experts and victims' lawyers say the fix is inadequate, pointing to this deposition with Chrysler engineer Francois Castang, the so-called father of the Jeep, 2 years before the recall.
The tow package does not protect the tank.
Why would NHTSA and Chrysler agree to this recall and to this fix as appropriate?
Beats me.
Chrysler declined to comment on camera, but in a statement said the installation of a hitch assembly is the agreed-upon action and that it provides incremental benefit in low to medium speed impacts. In November, NHTSA sent this letter to Chrysler ordering a faster recall. At the time, just 3% of the affected vehicles had been given the fix, and NHTSA had received complaints that owners were being turned away and told that their vehicles were safe to drive without the remedy. NHTSA responded that if accurate, the dealership's conduct was unacceptable. Kayla White burned to death in her Jeep Liberty the day before that letter was sent. Jerry Thurswell, her family's attorney, says Kayla tried to get the remedy, but was told the part was unavailable.
This is a pregnant woman, a young girl, 8 months pregnant, and she gets burnt up alive. Would have walked away without an injury, according to the autopsy, but for the fact that the car exploded.
Chrysler has accelerated the installation of the hitch on recalled Grand Cherokees and Liberty SUVs. Over 250,000 have the remedy. But some dealerships across the country are still telling customers their vehicles are safe without it.
Make it right. Get these vehicles off the road. Take responsibility for what's wrong. Fix them. Admit fault. My daughter's gone. She's never come back.
Chrysler still maintains there is no defect, that its vehicles are safe and met all safety standards in place when they were sold. It argues the fire deaths, including Kayla's, were related to high-speed crashes far in excess of any reasonable expectations for fuel tank performance. NHTSA tested that trailer hitch solution in 2014 and reported it provided incremental safety benefits in low to moderate speed crashes and defends the deal, saying that it doesn't have legal authority over vehicles more than 10 years old. Nora?
Jeff, I want to ask you about that private meeting you referenced between those three men where there was an alleged deal struck. What do those men have to say about that meeting?
Well, Chrysler CEO Marchioni and Ray LaHood declined to comment on camera, and Strickland did not respond to our request. He is no longer NHTSA administrator. Soon after the deal was finalized to put trailer hitches on those vehicles, he left NHTSA for a law firm called Venable. That's a firm which represents several clients, among them Chrysler.
Boy, Jeff, thanks. Raises some very interesting and troubling questions. I keep thinking about Kayla's family. She's pregnant. She has a baby that she's already given a name. It just all adds to a very, very sensitive, touching story. So real. Thank you, Jeff.